Hello everybody and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Deborah Hatswell and you're listening to BBR Investigations. On the 3rd of March 2024, I was contacted by a woman that I've worked a case with for quite a long time now. She lives out on the mining land, on the Greenbelt land, and she had her first experience as a young girl aged about 8 when she saw what she described at the time as a big hairy bear with no tail that was out there on the Greenbelt land. Every now and again, she sees them uninvited. She's not happy about this interaction. It's not something that she, enjoys or wishes to happen. And thankfully, in the last few years, it's been quiet due to the building of some new homes in the area. But it has affected how she walks a dog and the places that she'll go. This time, it's really kind of upped her awareness as the creature that she saw was seen right up at the back fence, which is kind of unusual and it hasn't happened before. So, as I say, she checked in with me on the 3rd of March. So, this happened on the 2nd of March 2024. And she said, "Hi, Deb, I'm checking in as I had something happen on Saturday, the 2nd of March. I did a really weird one. Not a frightening experience to begin with, because at first I wasn't sure what I was looking at. I didn't go and investigate in the dark for obvious reasons. Plus, I wanted to wait for good light to make sure. I went out about 7 a.m. this morning so I could look at my back garden and analyse the event. I wanted to make sure I wasn't seeing patterns in leaves or bushes, etc. It was clearly daylight. This was not pareidolia. There was someone standing right at the other side of that back fence in the garden last night. I think it was one of those monkey bear people. But if it was, that's the closest they've ever come to my house. As you know, Deb, I saw them as a kid. Now that I'm older, I think they've always been here. They seem to pass through the area in the early summer or spring months. I tend to ignore them as best as I can, but I still see them. They've never bothered me until I took some photos of them. And this big one stood out in the field at the bottom of the road, and you could see him in the streetlights. His features were blacked out like a silhouette, but I could see the outline of him perfectly, and it was like he was letting me know that he knew I'd taken that photograph. I managed to push them out of my mind unless I get a glimpse of them for about the last 18 months, and somehow we've kind of coexisted. I allow them to do their thing, and they leave me alone to do mine. I go out less when they're around. I don't walk the dog in their areas. They have their places, and I have mine. Although I've seen them up on the railway embankment and only ever seen what I believe to be males, this incident is very different. This time they were in what I would regard as my space, and I think it was a female that I saw. In fact, I'm certain it was a female. I should explain. I'm stood on the back doorstep having a cigarette, and while I'm there, I'm looking down the garden. I've got a neighbour either side of me and a neighbour's house that backs onto my fence. The security light started to go off on that back house. Now, that's not unusual. I'm thinking it's 1:30 in the morning, so maybe it's a cat or a fox of some kind. But what was unusual was my neighbour's house was dark at the time, and it's not normally. They're usually quite noisy, and there's a light on in every room. The fence is about 6 feet high, and I suddenly realised when my eyes get used to the dark that there's something at the side of the fence. And I thought, why would you stick a statue like that there? But then the wind changed and the hair on this thing moved. And I realised that what I was looking at wasn't a garden ornament or a fox or a cat or anything like that on the fence. You know, I took a much closer look and I knew what it was, you know. I knew what it was. It wasn't a burglar. It wasn't someone up to no good. I'm standing there and I'm looking at something that's about 7.5 feet tall. It was person shaped. And I'm looking at the colour, which appeared to be brownish, to be honest. And it looked womanish. It looked like she had hair going over to the side, you know. As I seeing this, without thinking, I said, "What the fuck?" out loud. And it heard me. As I spoke, it moved, and I mean moved. It was gone in a flash. I don't know who moved quicker, me or it. I couldn't see all its features, but I could see enough to know what it was. I think by this time it was about 1:30 in the morning. I tried not to think about it, just went indoors really, really quick. But I did think about it all night. So I got up about 7 a.m. and I went outside, and there was nothing in the garden or on that fence panel that I could have mixed it up. It was definitely one of those creatures I'd seen over at the railway line. It's funny what you realise with hindsight. I know our dog's been creating and acting up the last few nights, so I'm wondering now if that's connected. It may have been raiding their garden, as they grow all sorts of stuff you can eat. I was wondering if the females or the younger ones look different from the males. If it didn't move, I wouldn't have seen it. It was amazing how long it stayed motionless for. I didn't think they went into people's gardens, but maybe food is a little scarce now, with us just coming out of winter. The foxes and squirrels visit our gardens for that reason, so why not them? I think I'll knock the evening dog walk on the head for a while. I'll leave them to it, get more lights, and put up more fencing. I asked you if the females look different, as the face was more feminine on this thing, really. It, well, that's the impression I got. I thought at first it was made of wood, like in the lumps and the bumps were just the light and dark grain of the wood. But it was almost like she had a pattern on her face, like camouflage, on her cheeks and her forehead and her chin. It could have been scars, I suppose. Her hair was really coarse and definitely not fur. It was a kind of cinnamon colour, not dark brown like the males I've seen. I don't know how to explain it. As you know, they freak me out sometimes. I wish all this would just go away. I found out my neighbours are away on holiday, so I'm hoping this won't happen again once they're back home. But I'll keep you updated if anything happens. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you'll join me for future episodes. I release content like this every week, and I'm sure I'll cover a topic you enjoy, so don't miss out. Hit that follow or like button. Please check out my YouTube and Patreon memberships for early or exclusive content, and you can find the link to them and my social media and donation sites in one handy link tree below. BBR is not funded, so any donation, no matter how small, is highly appreciated. So I will bid you adieu, and I will be back at the same time, the same day, with more from the BBR Case Files.